Good morning, friends. Becky Harling here. Happy Monday to you. Recently, I picked up a book about the Queen called The Servant Queen. I guess because I'm fascinated with royalty. You probably are too. Anyway, I was reading about Queen Elizabeth, that for most of her life, she has looked in two directions. One, upward towards God, and secondly, outward towards her people. I'm fascinated with that statement because Paul wrote that we're not only to look towards our own interests, but also outward towards the interests of others. In fact, Jesus said in Matthew 22 that the greatest commandment was to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, and mind, but then the second is just as great, to love our neighbor as ourself. As I've been mulling this over in my mind, I think every great leader has two focuses in their life. One, God, and secondly, others. They ask themselves two questions at the beginning of every day. What is God doing, and how can I get on board with what He's doing? And secondly, who is my neighbor, and how can I add value and love my neighbor as much as I love myself? Maybe for you, that means buying a cup of coffee for your neighbor. Maybe that means taking a meal to your neighbor. Maybe that means simply affirming your husband, who's your neighbor, or your child, who's your neighbor. I don't know what that looks like for you, but I wonder how different our world would be if we followed the example of the servant queen and looked upward towards God and outward towards others, always asking the question, what difference can I make in the world around me if I simply look outward towards the needs of others? This week, I want to challenge you. Start each day. Look upward towards God. Ask Him what He's doing in your life and how you can get on board with that. And secondly, ask Him, how can you add value and love another person, whether that's your neighbor, your coworker, your husband, your child, a friend, or relative. I think it's going to be a great week, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. As always, leave a comment here on my blog. I'd love to know what you did this week to show your love to your neighbor. Make it a great one.